Hey Josh, have you ever thought about recording your own podcast?
You mean like the one we're doing now?
Yes, and if you want to record a podcast like Josh and I, you should use Anchor because if you haven't heard of Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Here's the reasons why. For one, it is completely free.
There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer.
Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more.
You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership.
And it's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. So please download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
The following podcast is a member of the Pokecasters Network. Pokecasters Network, supporting Pokemon content creators, their shows, and the community of Pokemon fans. To find out more, check out PokecastersNetwork.com or find us on Twitter and Facebook.
Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 41 of the Pokemon Snapshot. Hi Josh, how are you doing today?
Pretty good, Jeff. How's it going?
It's going good. It is Friday's Eve on the day we're recording this, so one more work day and then it's the weekend, and I can get back to my video games.
Good for you. I've got today and Monday and Tuesday, and then I have to go back to work or summer will be over. I have to go back to work.
Well, good. You can join the rest of us at the working class.
Rest of the working stis. Yeah, I've enjoyed summer way too much, and it always takes me like a solid 9 weeks to get back into school mode. And then it takes me a whole 9 weeks to get into school mode. So then I've got the second 9 weeks, the third 9 weeks, and then I'm like, basically once spring break happens, then I'm just done for the year. so, so I work maybe one full semester, an entire year.
Well, good for you. I hope your boss doesn't listen to this.
Oh, it's fine.
So what have you been up to lately?
So I think I mentioned a couple weeks ago that I haven't been really playing many video games, or really watching TV. Really, I've been trying to read more. But I finished the first Percy Jackson book, the audiobook, and I started reading Dune. I had started the Wheel of Time, but I was only like I hadn't been able to read that much, so I only got a few chapters in. And one of my buddies talked up Dune since the new movie's coming out, and I was like, okay, well, I'm going to read this before the movie comes out, and I'll finish Wheel of Time before the TV series comes out in November. So, been doing some reading.
Okay, Percy Jackson, that's a great choice. That's on my list of book series I want to reread.
Yeah.
But they're buried somewhere in my house.
Right.
So ever since we moved, books have just been everywhere because we have nowhere to store books, and lots of them were old classroom books from when Jesse and I were teachers.
Right.
So, but the Percy Jackson ones are mine. I actually have the set of, what's the second series, the Neptune with Jason? I have that whole series available.
I'm not sure.
Not as good as the original, and I can't wait for that Disney Plus show to come out.
Yeah, same. I like doing audiobooks of like easier books, like more aimed at kids, just because they're easier to follow along with, and I like trying to actually read them, the tougher ones. But I think the next one I'm going to do is after I finish the Percy Jackson is the Mysterious Benedict Society books, because I've been watching the TV show on Disney Plus and it's really good.
Oh yeah, I love that show too, and it actually made me want to read the books. So that is something I'm interested in as well. Well, unlike you, I've been playing video games because I believe, was it last episode where I joked that I didn't have I controlled myself and didn't have Skyward Sword?
Yeah, how long did you last before you got it?
I bought it last weekend. I'm about 15 hours into it. I'm really enjoying it. It's taken me a while to get used to the controls. I'm using the thumbstick, not the motion controls, because I want to play with my Pro controller on my TV. I got to the point, so there's a point in every Legend of Zelda game where you have to get a piece of heart and it's like a game of chance.
Mm-hmm.
I hate that part of every Zelda game, but I did. I was playing it on the couch before we started recording, and Jesse thought it was funny because I was getting so frustrated trying to get you have to like skydive and land on one spot. You have to go through 5 hoops and land on a spot to get the piece of heart.
That sounds tedious.
Yes, because it's a spinning wheel. It's like a gambling game. You pay 20 rupees and you can either get more or less rupees or the piece of heart. So that's what I've been doing. But also this week, we've gotten some Pokemon news. So I'm probably going to announce these when they're revealed, when they come out with a new character for Pokemon Unite, because I just like to see what characters they're going to come out with. Full disclosure, I have decided that Pokemon Unite is not for me, so I probably won't be playing anymore. But a new character was added, and it was Gardevoir. So that's cool. And actually, I will say the Ralts line is probably my favorite set of Pokemon from Ruby and Sapphire, the 3rd generation. That's that, with Gardevoir being added to Pokemon Unite. Also, out of nowhere, we got some new Pokemon Snap today. Like,
How excited are you about that?
I don't think I've beaten it. I don't know if I've played everything, but this might get me to go back into it. So I'm just going to kind of read what the official Pokemon Twitter tweeted out today about new Pokemon Snap. So there's a new update coming out on August 3rd. So next week, let's see. Actually, the day this episode's coming out is August 3rd, Monday.
No, that's Tuesday. The 2nd is Monday.
Okay, so the day after this episode will be released, you'll be able... So a lot of you will probably have a chance to play this before you listen to the Pokemon Snapshot. But just some areas that were added to this. So they're going to add a secret side path area, which it says the Neo 1 shrinks when you explore this area of the Florio Island Nature Park. So the Pokemon you see will look gigantic. You might also spot other kinds of behavior from Pokemon you've seen before. So like the video they showed like a giant Wurmple, and then a Dodrio almost steps on you. So it's kind of like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
What a great movie that is, where I miss Rick Moranis.
That was. I mean, they are making that Shrunk TV show for Disney Plus. So
is he going to be in it?
I think he is going to be in it. I don't know if he's going to be a starring role or just a cameo, but he is going to be in it.
Oh, that's exciting.
Don't hold me on that, but I think so. Also coming to new Pokemon Snap, we had Mighty Wide River area, which it says Mighty Wide River flows through a rugged valley on Bella Silva Island, providing the entire island with nurturing water and sustenance. You'll be conducting research as you ride down the river, so keep your camera steady. And the video, I saw the video of this too. They showed the going down the river, and there's like a Psyduck jumping out in front of you, so looks fun. Then it says the barren Badlands area. Dry winds from the desert blow in the Badlands of Voluka Island. This area has many peculiar features, from geysers to poisonous gas-spewing swamps. The Pokemon that live here may be hiding underground or up in rocky cliffs. So I feel like we're going to see a lot of poison Pokemon. They showed Swalot, so that is fun. And then it ended off by saying, of course, new areas to explore means new discoveries to be made. During expeditions, you might encounter Pokemon you haven't seen in the Lintel region before. So I just think it's exciting that we are getting an update they didn't have to do. They didn't have to give it to us for free. I'm sure there's people who would have paid $10 for this.
Yeah, and it seems like a pretty big update. Which is really cool.
3 new areas, which is pretty cool. And I mean, it already had over 200 Pokemon in this game. So they're bringing more. To really think about it, the original Pokemon Snap I think had somewhere around 60. So
nice.
So
they probably want people to pay full price for the game before it goes on sale for Black Friday in a couple of months.
See, Josh, I feel like we have this conversation every time. You're like, oh, I'll get this game when it goes on sale. But Nintendo games don't really go on sale.
Yeah. Maybe this one will, though, because it's not like a straight-up Nintendo game.
Maybe. I don't know. It's hard to say. Or they'll just keep it because by that time, Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl will be coming out.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see. And I can't wait till those come out and we can talk about playing those games, because we all know I am getting those day one.
Oh, yeah. I probably won't, but I can't wait to hear about it from you.
Yes.
Did we talk about the live-action Pokemon show?
Oh, we did not. I did not put that in our notes. Yes. Netflix... Well, Variety put out an article that says Netflix is in pre-production on a live-action show. And actually, we had William Walton actually tweeted out to me, and he said, and it was funny, Josh, because it was like 5 minutes after you texted me and asked me, are we going to do this or are we going to wait until we get there?
Right.
And he asked me the same thing over Twitter.
Nice. I mean, it's probably not going to come out till like 2023.
At the
So we've got
earliest.
yeah. So we've so we've got plenty of time to make this decision, but I'm definitely down to put a pause on the classic episodes, go over the 10 or so new live action episodes, and then go back to the classics.
Yeah, so we'll definitely be following this news as it progresses and as we know more. I'm super excited, but then again, it's in pre-production. This isn't a guaranteed thing it'll come out. So that's something to be it's getting people all excited, but remember Netflix also announced a Legend of Zelda collab and then Nintendo got mad when it leaked and they pulled it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So
well, now we can see Ash make stupid decisions in full 4K 3D.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be
1080p. I have no idea what any of those mean. So people are gonna make fun of me on Twitter because I have no idea. I'm just saying them.
Yeah, I doubt it'll be Ash, but that'll be something we can talk about later. What we think when they reveal more. What we think the storyline will be. Will it be following the original series, or will it be a completely new series? Or it wouldn't surprise me even if they try to do a Detective Pikachu spinoff.
I would assume it's probably completely separate from Ash, but I just wanted to make that joke about him being dumb.
Yes, but yeah, so it was a big news week for Pokemon, or a couple of days, because with Pokemon Unite and then the new Pokemon Snap, but let's move on to our next section where last week we did ask the question, what is a snow day memory you have? And I have a couple of replies. Kate Davis said the blizzard of 92. We made epic tunnels as we had over 3 feet of snow.
All right.
So that is a lot of snow.
3 feet of snow sounds like a national emergency to me down here in the South.
Yeah, Josh is freaking out if he sees 3 inches of snow.
Dude, if I see 3 snowflakes, I'm freaking out.
But
it's like we better close down these roads. Everybody raid the Walmart.
But yeah, we used to do that out at recess when we had big snow because they would plow all the snow to the edges and we would make forts and tunnel through them and everything. So
nice.
We never had about 3 feet of snow, but Daniel Burrell says, this recent snow we got, I'm assuming you mean last winter, not now since it is the middle of July. Unless you live in like Alaska. Even Alaska's not getting snow. That was a horrible joke on my part. Sorry, people from Alaska. So this recent snow we got, sliding down the hill on an old
Hold on. The people in Alaska have to, like, trek, like, 3 miles to the nearest radio tower so they can listen to our podcast.
we really appreciate our Alaska
Yeah, we
listeners.
really appreciate your dedication. This episode goes out to you.
Yes. But I am actually, Josh, just to see... I can actually see if we have any listeners from Alaska. And then you will know if you actually did insult someone.
Well, it would not be the first time I've accidentally insulted someone.
Let's see.
I can take it. Y'all can insult me back. I'm okay with that.
We do not have Alaska. It
was anticlimactic.
I know. Sad day. So if you have a friend in Alaska, tell them to listen to our podcast.
Yeah, people in Alaska play Pokemon, I'm sure.
All right,
and watch the TV show.
now that we've derailed this, this recent back to Daniel Burrell. He said this recent snow we got, sliding down the hill on an old metal shelf that was bent into sort of a toboggan shape, spinning out of control and laughing our heads off. So
that sounds like fun.
That does sound fun. When I was younger, I don't even know what they were. They were almost like just. My dad worked at a plastic factory, and so he had like old discarded plastic sheets, and then we would slide down on those.
Nice.
And then Jenna Dutzman said, sliding down the big hill at the end of my neighborhood with all of the neighborhood kids, probably 40 of us.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Yeah. I'm so disappointed I didn't get to enjoy, because I lived out in the country, I didn't get to enjoy these snow days like that. I was typically at home, stuck at home, and no one could get out to me.
How close was your nearest neighbor? Like 10 miles away?
No. I live 5 miles outside of town, so no.
Okay.
The nearest neighbor was... I mean, it was just down the road, but I didn't really care for them.
Right. I hope they don't listen to the podcast.
Oh, I'm sure they don't.
That Walker boy.
But I do have a memory that I forgot about when we were talking about it earlier because, so we had one snow day where it was a snow day, but it wasn't because of snow. It was because of an ice storm. School got canceled.
Yep, that'll do it. That black ice.
But the crazy thing is, it did not start out as a snow day. So my mom would drop us off at the babysitter's house in the morning. And we would go to the bus stop, which all the kids in the neighborhood in that area would line up at. I remember sitting there and we're just watching cars and we're counting how many cars are fishtailing around the corner because that's how slippery it is. The bus came and got us to school. We went to school for 30 minutes and then they decided to send us home.
That's so lame.
I know. Actually, not really, because they counted it as a full day because we actually went to school. But all the parents were angry because they're like, you already got them there. Maybe it'll get better by the afternoon. Why send them home?
Well, it doesn't really surprise me that school districts are making stupid decisions because I've worked for several of them, and well, that's just par for the course for school districts.
Yes, but we did go
decision
home.
Making.
Did go home. Went to my neighbor's backyard and everything, and they had not my neighbor, but the babysitter went back to the babysitter's house, and one of their neighbors had like a big driveway, and it was just sheeted ice. So we went and ice skated in the driveway.
That's pretty awesome.
But yeah, so if you want to tell us your stories or answer our questions when we ask them, we're trying to do this every episode, have a different question to answer. Don't forget, you can follow us on Twitter at Pokemon Snapshot or send us an email at thepokemonsnapshot@gmail.com. We also have a Facebook page, so look us up there as well. Also, leave us a rating on your listening app of your choosing so other Pokemon fans such as yourself can find the podcast. All right, Josh, that was a lot of talk at the beginning, but...
Yeah, on our script, I usually put short free talk, and today Jeff went in and put little quotation marks around short. So we had a hand quote or finger quote short free talk today.
Hey, I love our conversations. They kind of get off the rails, but it's fun. But Josh, I think it's time to get into the episode.
I think so too. I hope everyone's got their tissues ready today because this one's a tearjerker.
For some of us.
Yeah, I didn't cry, so.
So, today's episode was titled Pikachu's Goodbye, or in Japanese, it was called Forest of Pikachu. Which I think is a better title because of how it ends up at the end.
Yeah, Pikachu's Goodbyes, again, is a poorly named episode. It's like Onyx is a bivouac.
Yes. This episode aired on... Now, if you remember, our previous episodes, not counting the 2 weird episodes, Snow Way Out and Holiday Hijinks, but the last episode that was supposed to aired in December in Japan. This one aired on April 16th, 1998 in Japan because they did take a 4-month break after Porygon caused seizures. Or Pikachu caused these seizures, actually. And then this aired on the United States. They didn't stop. It went from 1 week to the next. Aired on November 20th, 1998 in the United States. All right, Josh, let's get into the episode.
All right. Today's episode is Pikachu's Goodbye, and I'm going to assume, based on the title, that since Ash was unable to bump off Pikachu by throwing him off the mountain last week, that he's come back to finish the job this week.
But wait, if he did that, wouldn't we have to call the title Goodbye Pikachu?
Don't look for logic in this, Jeff. As the episode begins, Team Ash is taking a break from following Ash's awful leadership so Pikachu can climb a tree and pick some apples. I'm going to be looking at every moment of this episode to see if that is the time when Pikachu says his final goodbye. Will he fall out of this tree and break his back like Bane-breaking Batman? Let's find out. Brock and Misty are having a relaxing time in the forest when it is ruined by Ash, who comes swinging by on a vine and slams right into a tree as if he were George of the Jungle. This whole gag reminds me of how simple the 90s were. All you needed to have a successful movie was Brendan Fraser blatantly ripping off Tarzan, where the entire movie revolves around him slamming into trees, and it grossed $105 million in the U.S. Brock comments that Ash will never learn, which is pretty rich from a guy that followed Ash up Mount Everest last episode in little more than a t-shirt.
So it grossed 105 million in the 90s. That was a lot.
Mm-hmm. And it was literally just Brendan Fraser, like slamming into trees, pretending to be Tarzan.
But yeah, so thank you for reminding me of George of the Jungle. I mean, I thought of it too when he was swinging through, and I wanted to start singing the song.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember watching this live action movie in the 90s. So I looked it up because I couldn't remember exactly when it came out. The movie did come out in 1997, so I guess
Mm-hmm.
it was relevant at the time to bring this up because the show, which the movie is based off, actually aired in 1967. So it's interesting to me how the 90s were making these live action remakes with because you had that movie, you had the Flintstones that came out a few years earlier. I want to say 94, and even 101 and Dalmatians at the time also came out, which when people are like, oh, the Disney remakes, and they kind of forget that 101 Dalmatians was the very first Disney remake.
It was like almost 30 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, 20. It's not
I
that
saw.
old.
Wait, I thought it was. Dude, 97 is like. Never mind. It's only 2021. So 25 years. Whatever.
Yes. So 10
Yeah,
years.
Glenn Close was in it, and Arthur Weasley was one of the henchmen.
Yeah, he was Jasper or Horace, one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And that was 10 years before Disney made it a business strategy that they were now gonna, remake all these cartoons. So it's funny, it's come full circle. Also, I just wanted to bring up, I did also like his callback to the Kangaskhan episode, because when Ash was swinging, he goes, Kanga, Kanga, Kangaskhan!
And then he slams into a tree.
Yes.
Pikachu runs to Ash's aid, but it notices something strange in the bushes. Another Pikachu. Ash is confused as his own Pikachu runs into the bushes, and then the title card flashes, which would have given me anxiety as a child. It's like the childhood version of a season-ending cliffhanger where you won't know for an entire year if a character lived or died. The gang chases after Pikachu until they come into a clearing where a few dozen Pikachu are playing together. Ash's Pikachu is enamored to see so many of its own kind, and to be honest, this is like the cutest thing I've ever seen on this show. And I'm not mentally prepared for this show to actually make me cry. When Ash's Pikachu approaches the wild Pikachu, they all stare at it as if they've never seen one of themselves before, despite being surrounded by like 24 other Pikachu. When Ash's Pikachu waves at them, they hiss like frightened kittens and run away.
Yes, and there is a part about this scene I did want to mention. There's the smaller Pikachu than all the others, which is interesting to note because, they're like saying, oh, this is a younger Pikachu because it's smaller. And this was before the introduction of baby Pokemon, so Pichu had not even been revealed yet. So they was just thinking, we're just going to make it smaller because Pokemon didn't have a thing such as babies back then.
Ash's Pikachu is visibly sad, but a little baby Pikachu runs up to sniff him. Or it, I guess. I don't know Ash's Pikachu's gender.
Ash's Pikachu is a male because,
okay.
I mean, it wasn't there, but when they started doing gender differences, for once, they call him a he. But nowadays, if you look at a gender difference with a Pikachu, a female Pikachu's end of their tail actually makes a heart shape.
I've not seen that. The baby Pikachu offers Ash's Pikachu its tail, and this is not a euphemism, and the two Pikachus shake tails like politicians shaking hands in the room where it happens. The other Pikachu have the quickest change of heart I've ever seen and rush to meet their new comrade. Brock says it looks like they finally accepted Pikachu roughly 10 seconds after fleeing for their lives. Ash runs up yelling that he wants to be part of their group. His own Pikachu waves back, but the others are mortified, and if they know what Ash's Pikachu has been through because of Ash, then I don't think anyone can blame them for running.
Yeah, when Ash's Pikachu was running up to the other Pikachu, I thought it was really cringy.
Yeah, it was embarrassing.
It's like the kid who's trying really hard to be part of the group, but instead of greeting someone normally, like, hi, my name is Jeff, he's just running up to people going, accept me! Which doesn't work. Though that is how I became friends with Josh. I did
I
accept
was
him.
I was gonna say that was exactly how you introduced yourself to me. Ash's Pikachu sits in another Ash-induced depression as Team Ash discusses all the possibilities of why the wild Pikachu would be afraid of Ash. Jeff, I'm going to need a list of all the dangerous situations that Pikachu has been put in because of Ash's stupidity.
All right.
Ramble these off real quick.
So he was almost killed by a Spearow, a flock. He was blown up in a Pokemon Center. He was attacked by a samurai wannabe. He was sent out to fight Brock's Onix. Almost died against Lieutenant Surge's Raichu. Shipwrecked and washed up on a Pokemon theme park full of electronic Pokemon. Sent against a giant tentacle kaiju. Dies while Ash tries to catch a ghost Pokemon. Telekinetically taken down over by a Kadabra. Made to box with a Hitmonchan. Entered a Pokemon race riding Squirtle. Bicycling through a monsoon. Sent into cyberspace. Sent to the North Pole and almost blown off a mountain.
So Brock and Misty, I think we have the answer to why they would be afraid of Ash. Why they would be afraid of Ash.
I saw this and I'm like, I just went episode by episode. Okay. And I was surprised. I was expecting to put something. He didn't almost die every episode, but it became pretty close a lot of times.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Nearby, a nosy wild Pikachu sits in a tree eavesdropping on their conversation, but the branch it is sitting on breaks and falls into the rushing stream below. Team Ash jumps into action as the wild Pikachu heads towards a waterfall. Ash's Pikachu dives in to save the fallen Pikachu, but they are both swept into the current, and all I'll say is that if Ash's Pikachu dies here, at least it won't be at the hands of Ash's incompetence. The wild Pikachu, all the other wild Pikachu form a long Pikachu rope by grabbing one another's tails and are able to save the other two before they fall down the waterfall. Luckily, Pikachu are basically cute walking defibrillators, and everyone involved is saved. They hoist Ash's Pikachu into the air to celebrate its heroism, and I don't think I've ever said, or anyone has ever said Pikachu that many times in that short amount of speaking.
Yeah. So I will say this scene does it shows Pikachu's character and how it is. Honestly, Pikachu and Ash are very similar. And I think that becomes more apparent as the seasons go on. I know we give Ash a lot of grief, but his heart is really in the right place. It just happens to put people in the wrong situations. He just doesn't execute his plans very well. Pikachu wanted to try his hardest to save the baby Pikachu, even though they just met. And I feel like if this was switch the roles around and this was a human falling in, Ash would have done the same thing.
Well, he did. I think it was the Dratini episode he dives in.
Yeah, so, and even, he jumped in to help swim to the North Pole. Ash, his heart is in the right place. He just doesn't think things through.
Yeah, the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Yes, also, let's also look at this scene and look that Misty has a whole team of water Pokemon. Why didn't she pitch in to help?
I had not even thought of that. I don't think she's great under pressure.
No, she's like, what do we do?
I don't think Ash is very good under pressure either, but at least he tried.
So what's worse? Trying and failing miserably or not even trying at all?
I would say trying and failing miserably.
Yeah, at least it's kind of like the Good Samaritan law.
Mm-hmm. The guy just ended up dying anyway.
Yeah.
In the Good Samaritan story, if Ash were the Good Samaritan. From the nearby trees, Team Rocket is watching the Pikachu play together. They're weeping at the prospect of giving this many Pikachu to their boss, and I'm slightly confused because, one, are Pikachu really that rare? And two, are they really any more powerful than any other electric Pokemon? Team Rocket rationalizes that since the Pikachu are on public land and they're part of the public, so by transitive property, those Pikachu belong to them since they're part of the public. Keep in mind that both Team Rocket and I have no idea how public parks or transitive properties work.
All right, so going back to your questions about Pikachu, this goes all the way back to the very first time Pikachu destroys Team Rocket and see episode 2. Their motive to catch this specific Pikachu is that they think it is very strong since it blew up the Pokemon Center.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, oh, we've got to get him. They've wanted him since them. So I guess they're assuming all Pikachu are strong. And so, this is how nerdy I can be, Josh. You asked, are Pikachu more powerful than any electric type? So I decided to put the answer mathematically because that's how the games are. So if we look at Generation 1, there are 9 electric type Pokemon in Kanto. And technically it's 5 stats in Generation 1, but I was looking at the most recent stats. But just to tell you, Pikachu is in the exact same situation in the original game, so I didn't change it.
Okay.
So each Pokemon has 6 stats that they are based off of. Hit points, attack, defense, special defense, and speed. In the original games, attack and special attack were 1, and defense and special defense were 1, but they split them up. So what I did is I took each of the base stats of all the electric Pokemon, added them all up, divided by 6 to see where their average ranking of their stats were. Pikachu is dead last with an average. Yeah, Pikachu is dead last with an average stat of 50. I even looked at Generation 1 stats because things have changed, and he is still in last place.
Is it? I mean, even Raichu is like 4 spots above Pikachu.
Yeah, so should I read off the list in order?
Yes,
I
go
don't
for it.
have the spreadsheet in front of me, so I don't know their numbers. But in case you wanted to know the definitive order of electric Pokemon in Generation 1, it goes. Number 1 was Zapdos. That made perfect sense. It was legendary. So Zapdos, Jolteon, Electabuzz, Raichu, Electrode. Oh, I put Raichu twice. Magneton, Voltorb, Magnemite, and finally Pikachu.
So basically, eat it, Pikachu. You're not that special.
Yeah.
And Team Rocket is even dumber than we thought.
Yeah, so... But, and here's the sad thing, with Pikachu being so low, because Voltorb, I know for a fact, in Generation 1 could not learn an electric type attack.
That is pitiful.
Yes. So...
But Pikachu, in Pikachu's defense, Pikachu is the cutest out of all of those.
He is, yes.
And second would be Jolteon.
Yes, or Raichu. I'd put Raichu up there.
Maybe.
I have a soft spot for Raichu because he gets screwed over because of Pikachu's popularity.
Yeah.
So this is going to go back to Pokemon Unite because, like, you choose which team you want to be, and I chose Charizard as the character I start out with. In every battle, he starts out as a Charmander, goes into Charmeleon, and then finally becomes Charizard. Poor Raichu, because if you pick Pikachu as your starter, he doesn't evolve like Charmander does. He just stays Pikachu.
Because most people don't want to play as Raichu. They
Yeah.
want to stay as the cute little Pikachu. Well, I'm glad you went full nerd and got these stats. This is why we keep you around, Jeff.
Yes.
This is why you get paid the big bucks.
And it is right in my wheelhouse to look up something like this. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I had fun doing it. Just putting when you have an Excel spreadsheet and it does exactly what you want it to do, it's like one of the best feelings in the world.
Yep. And this is why you taught math and I taught English, because you're good at numbers and I'm good at making things up and saying them with confidence. As night falls, we find all of the Pikachu singing an absolutely adorable song to the moon, which is the antithesis of that creepy Kangaskhan lullaby from like 10 episodes ago. So let's have a sound sample here.
Okay, we'll put one in now.
Wasn't that just the cutest thing you've ever heard, folks? I could fall asleep to that. Team Ash watches the Pikachu moon chant, but Ash seems troubled that his Pikachu is more comfortable around its own kind. And I mean, duh, Ash. I mean, if you were a Pikachu, wouldn't you rather be around other cute, adorable Pikachu than someone such as yourself? I would feel way more comfortable around a bunch of other humans than I would around, like, a bunch of mountain lions, so I guess it makes sense. And just to reiterate, Ash has put Pikachu through numerous unnecessary situations. So let's go ahead, Jeff, and let's get that list one more time just to drive home the point.
All right. Almost killed by a Spearow flock, blown up in a Pokemon Center, attacked by a Samurai wannabe sent out to fight Brock's Onix, almost died against Lieutenant Surge's Raichu, shipwrecked and washed up on a Pokemon theme park full of electronic Pokemon, sent against a giant tentacruel kaiju, dies while Ash tries to catch a ghost Pokemon, telekinetically taken over by a Kadabra, made to box with a Hitmonchan, entered a Pokemon race riding Squirtle, bicycling through a monsoon, sent into cyberspace, sent to the North Pole, and almost blown off a mountain.
So, Ash, I think what we need here is a little self-reflection more than anything.
Yes, and with all these dangerous situations, any place would be more comfortable for Pikachu than with Ash.
Yes, any place. All like the ice cold mountains from last week. I don't know. In theory, I would have had a long list of things, but I'm tired and it's not working. My brain's not working right now. So let's go. Let's move on to Who's That Pokemon?
Yeah, so now it cuts a commercial break in it. We are going to cut to our Who's That Pokemon segment.
Who's that Pokemon?
All right, so something interesting about this episode. Only 2 Pokemon, not counting flashbacks, appear in this entire episode, the lowest of any episode to date. The 2 Pokemon are Pikachu and Meowth. But we've already done a Who's That Pokemon on Pikachu, so I didn't want to do it so soon since we're still in the early stages. And we actually have an episode in a little bit that focuses on Meowth, so I decided to pick just a random Pokemon to do it on that we've seen. So today, I know it's titled Goodbye Pikachu, but we are going to do it on a Pokemon Misty would rather say goodbye to, and that is Psyduck. I'm not gonna lie. I loved my segue there.
I did too. I also really like Psyduck. I always thought Psyduck was really funny.
Yeah, Psyduck is actually my wife's favorite Pokemon.
Nice. And Noah, Jesse, that makes sense.
Yes.
And I mean that in a good way.
I was so excited when Psyduck was one of the pop figures that came out, because then I could get Psyduck. I own at least one of every type of Pokemon pop. Not like all the special editions, but each character.
Right, you could get the Psyduck and pass it off as a gift for Jessie.
Yes. She doesn't listen to this. She'll probably get one for her birthday. Then we'll have 2 Psyduck pops. All right, so Psyduck in Japanese was known as Koduck. Some basic information on Psyduck. He's number 54 in the Pokedex. He is a water type. He is 2 feet 7 inches tall and weighs 43.2 pounds, and he is known as the Duck Pokemon. And he evolves into Golduck at level 33. All right, Psyduck's name origin. Psyduck is a combination of psychic, referring to its mental powers, and duck. And we'll learn more about Psyduck, and most people listening to this probably already know about Psyduck, but I am really surprised they never made it psychic and water. Like,
it's not psychic?
No, it's just plain water type.
Is Golduck not psychic? I could have sworn.
Nope, neither of them are psychic.
I'm misremembering then, I guess.
Yeah, well, it's because they learn psychic moves like Confusion, which is annoying because in Pokemon there's this thing known as same type attack bonus, where you do like 25% extra damage if you're attacking with a move of the same type that you are. So when Psyduck does any of those psychic attacks, he doesn't get that same type attack bonus. So his Japanese name, Koduck, is a combination of ko, which means child, and duck.
Child duck.
Yes, child duck.
That's what I say when I'm throwing markers at my students.
That was a good one. I will give you.
Thank you. I'm kind of proud of that one.
So Psyduck, what is Psyduck based off of? Psyduck's design appears to draw inspiration from both ducks and platypuses. Its yellow coloration, proportions, and simple anatomy seem to be inspired by rubber ducks in particular. Alright, Psyduck's biology. Psyduck is a yellow Pokemon resembling a duck or a bipedal platypus. On top of its head are 3 thick strands of black hair, and it has a wide, flat, cream-colored beak. Its eyes seem vacant and have tiny pupils. Its legs and tails are stubby, and it has cream-colored webbed feet. There are 3 claws on each of its hands. Psyduck is constantly stunned by its headache and is unable to think very clearly. It usually stands immobile, trying to calm its headache. However, when its headache becomes too severe, Psyduck releases tension in the form of strong psychic powers. The use of these powers produce brainwaves identical to those seen in sleepers, and the Pokemon is unable to recall these episodes. Psyduck lives in freshwater lakes and small ponds, but can be seen in rivers and tropical areas as shown in Pokemon Snap. Some Pokedex entries on Psyduck. Red and Blue says, while lulling its enemies with its vacant look, this wily Pokemon will use psychokinetic powers. Which, so it's right there. In Red and Blue, they use the term psychokinetic in its Pokedex entry, but it's not a psychic type.
Seems like a missed opportunity to me.
Especially since, I mean, I guess there were quite a few psychic types. Maybe they were just worried because psychic types were kind of overpowered in the original games. They didn't want to add another one. Because you already had Abracadabra, Alakazam, and then you add in Mr. Mime and Jinx.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
Pokemon Yellow says, always tormented by headaches, it uses psychic powers, but it is not known if it intends to do so.
It just sounds like Psyduck is just a hungover duck with all the headaches that it has.
Yes. Go drink some coffee, Psyduck.
You'll be fine.
Pokemon Gold says it has a mystical powers but doesn't recall that it has used them. That is why it always looks puzzled. Pokemon Ruby says Psyduck uses a mysterious power. When it does so, this Pokemon generates brainwaves that are supposedly only seen in sleepers. This discovery spurred controversy among scholars. Pokemon Sapphire says, if it uses its mysterious power, Psyduck can't remember having done so. It apparently can't form a memory of such an event because it goes into an altered state that is much like deep sleep. Pokemon Sun says, as a result of headaches so fierce they cause it to cry, it sometimes uses psychokinesis without meaning to. So, its headaches are so bad it cries sometimes.
Lay off the sauce, Psyduck.
Ultra Sun says, uses psychokinesis, gives it a headache so it normally passes the time spacing out and doing as little as possible. That's how I spend
That sounds... That's exactly what I was about to say. It sounds familiar to me.
Ultra Moon says it has been found that its brain cells are 10 times more active when Psyduck is experiencing a headache. And then Pokemon Shield says, as Psyduck gets stressed out, its headache gets progressively worse. It uses intense psychic energy to overwhelm those around it. And then I did have some trivia on Psyduck. So Junichi Masuda, who is one of the founders of Game Freak, or one of the main guys at Game Freak, you know, the company that makes the Pokemon games. He has revealed that Psyduck was considered for the role of Pikachu's counterpart in Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee instead of Eevee, but it was ultimately not chosen due to it being deemed too similar in color to Pikachu.
I feel like Eevee was a much better choice because it was like it kind of hits that same cute factor that Pikachu does too.
I know. I just love Psyduck. I ended up with Let's Go Pikachu because I'm not a huge fan of Eevee, but I definitely would have gotten Psyduck if they had Let's Go Psyduck.
I got Let's Go Eevee. I think I got Let's Go Eevee because you got Pikachu.
And then Psyduck.
And I'm a team player.
Yes, you are. And then Psyduck is Junichi Masuda's favorite Pokemon. So it was probably hard for him not to put it as the mascot of Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee.
Maybe one day.
Maybe one day.
Hopefully one day. I want them one day to just pull like an off-the-wall Pokemon. Like Pokemon Let's Go Scyther.
Yeah, I don't think that's happening. I'm hoping they come out with the Johto ones at sometimes. Like the Let's Go games were simple, but sometimes that's all I need is just a simple game. I don't need all those mechanics.
Yeah, Let's Go Eevee was the last Pokemon game that I've played, and I had a great time.
All right, so that is our Who's That Pokemon segment on Psyduck.
Who's that Pokemon?
So back into the episode, as those mushrooms that Brock cooked earlier begin to hit, Ash stares into the fire as his third eye begins to imagine his Pikachu living happily among all of the wild Pikachu. As the fire is blown out, Team Ash hears the Pikachu's cries in the distance. They run towards the sound to find that they've all been caught in Team Rocket's net. Team Rocket, as usual, is long-winded in their rants. And Misty, way overstepping her boundaries, if you ask me, commands Ash's Pikachu to shock the net. That would be like me busting down your front door, kissing Jessie on the lips, telling Kyrie to go mow the lawn, and then drinking all your sugar-free Mountain Dew. That's basically what Misty did by ordering Ash's Pikachu to attack. And I would never disrespect your family like that. I probably would drink all your sugar-free Mountain Dew, though. Unfortunately for Pikachu, however, the net is insulated so that electric shocks don't work on it.
So if you can get someone to mow my lawn that's not me, I'm okay with at least that part of it.
All right, I'll tell Kyrie. Kyrie, you've got one more year. You better learn how to work the mower.
But during this scene, when James is talking about the net, he calls it a Pikachu insulated seizure net. I'm pretty sure that was not a good thing to say with the episode that was just a few episodes earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know they were talking about seizure because it seizes the Pikachu, but I'm also pretty sure the U.S. probably didn't even know that happened. Because the episodes were just sent to them, and they're like, okay, we'll just dub over these.
Did we ever talk about how it was really Pikachu that gave all those kids seizures, but it all got blamed on Porygon?
Yeah, we talked about that.
Okay, I couldn't remember because I'm sitting here thinking, like, Porygon really got screwed over there. He needs to get a better agent.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It was Pikachu's fault. And look, a couple episodes later, Pikachu got a whole episode about it.
It's like those kids that get off on like sexual assault getting off because they have such a bright future ahead.
Yeah, it's
so unfair.
Porygon 2 and Porygon Z have also never appeared in the anime because of that issue.
That's the real scandal here. When Team Ash runs forward to attack, James quips, "Why don't you check out our website?" And then he shoots a net at them, which is... Generally, I hate puns, and this one is no exception. But I will make, I will make an exception for this one after all, just because check out our website would have been very timely in the 90s.
Yes, they were probably very proud of themselves for that website joke, especially as you just said. It was very mainstream. Websites were becoming in 97, 98 when this aired.
Mm-hmm.
This was still the early days of the internet.
Yeah, so good on them for that joke. I will make an exception for that pun after all. Team Rocket escapes while making multiple Pika puns, and at this point, I just hope their hot air balloon goes down like the Pika Hindenburg and puts us all out of our Pika misery. Unfortunately for Team Rocket, the Pikachu begin chewing through the net. Ash's Pikachu breaks through the net and climbs up the basket to taunt Team Rocket. Using the net that they have freed themselves from, Team Ash stretches it out to allow the other Pikachu to jump down safely to the ground. Team Rocket tries to capture the last Pikachu, Ash's Pikachu, but it climbs the balloon, bites a hole in it, and Team Rocket blasts off super early in this episode. I had to check the timing on the episode, and there was like 8 solid minutes left in this episode after Team Rocket gets blasted off, so that's highly unusual. Pikachu flies towards the ground and Ash catches it before it splats. However, after only a moment together, Ash's Pikachu runs to catch up with its non-moronic friends, meaning the other wild Pikachu, and they begin another adorable chant. So let's put some more audio here just for the audience.
Okay, sounds good.
Pikachu! 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 Pikachu!
Brock and Misty compliment Ash on his training of Pikachu, but Ash skulks away without a word. Ash reveals that he's going to leave Pikachu. Pikachu doesn't understand why Ash is leaving him, so he follows. Ash yells at Pikachu to stay behind and takes off running down the road. Ash is being way too angsty in this episode for my taste. Like, school starts or doesn't start for another 2 weeks, and I'm already sick of this teenage angst.
So I'm with you. I thought this was kind of a weird way to have the storyline play out. I think it would have been a little better if Ash did a little more explaining of why he was leaving Pikachu and not just running out on him.
Yeah, throwing a little poo-poo party and leaving. A cheesy 80s keyboard patch begins to play over a montage of Ash's and Pikachu's 41 episodes together. Um, was this the part that made you cry?
I mean, it might have it didn't make me cry this time, but I knew it was coming.
Yeah. To be very honest, this was probably my least favorite song that they've had on the show, period, and out of any of the songs. And I personally just hate the sound of 80s ballads. And with a few notable exceptions, the 80s was like the worst decade of popular music, and that's a hill I will absolutely die on. Def Leppard, garbage band. Poison, garbage band. Motley Crue, garbage band with a few exceptions. Dr. Feelgood is a cool song. I just don't like 80s hair music. I think it's the most awful excuse for popular music ever. Guns N' Roses does not count in that. So if people are gonna try to give me examples of good '80s bands, Guns N' Roses does not count. They were a hard rock band and not a hair band. Hair bands are garbage, and I'll die on that hill.
Okay. Well, anyone.
Sorry about that.
Are we good? Are you calmed down?
Yeah, I can breathe now. We're good.
Okay. Anyone with a heart is bawling their eyes out right now, except for Josh. But I'm always a sucker for a good clip show or a slideshow like that. But I can get what you're saying because the music was not the best decision. Like, out of all the songs we've heard, really, they should have just, like, did, like, a slower version of the theme song.
Yeah, something like that. It was just the sound of the keyboard just sounds like those crappy MIDI patches that just sound really bad and really cheesy. But that's just personal opinion. If you all disagree with my assessment of the 80s, please come attack me on Twitter. I would love to argue about 80s about 80s music from the official Pokemon Snapshot Twitter. Just kidding, Jeff. When Brock and Misty finally catch up to Ash, they're like, "Bro, what are you even doing?" But before Ash can give anything resembling a logical answer, Ash's Pikachu appears atop a hill surrounded by the wild Pikachu. The wild Pikachu say goodbye to Ash's Pikachu with another cute cheer, and Pikachu leaps into Ash's arms. I thought about crying here, but my heart is just too black and cold to muster up the tears anymore. However, I did like the fake out of the episode's title, actually referring to Ash's Pikachu saying goodbye to the wild Pikachu and not to Ash himself. The episode ends as Ash and Pikachu embrace, ready to take on more challenges as Ash causes them to arise.
Yes, and 41 more episodes will just add to the list of all the dangerous stuff he put them through.
I can't wait until like the entire script is just they're like several pages of the script is just you listing off things, and I'm gonna make you list them multiple times each episode.
And so that's the end of our episode, Josh. What did you think of it?
It was all right. I liked it better than last week's episode. I did not like Ash's angsty teenage phase here, even though I think Ash is like 10.
Yeah. I always call it, because he puts his ball cap down to like cover his eyes, I always call it the sad Ash look.
Sad Ash. Is that like bad Ash?
I guess. But yeah, so I mean, this has never been my favorite episode. I can understand why some people see this as their favorite episode. It makes perfect sense. It's really hard to compare. Like, would you consider this episode filler? It didn't really move the plot along, but then it's a very popular episode for the series as a whole.
Really? It had I guess because we watched the Snow Way Out episode last week, it kind of had a similar like Ash Pikachu dynamic where they grew closer. So it was like two of those episodes in a row, even though I know they didn't air in a row.
But they were originally supposed to air in a row,
right,
so
right. I guess they're really trying to build up Ash and Pikachu's relationship.
Yeah,
but it was all right. It was not my favorite. Wasn't my least favorite either.
Yeah, it's just kind of there. Like I like if it's on, I'm not gonna be like, oh no, we're not watching that episode. but I don't mind it. But we do have a question for this week, and it is, since this is kind of a sad episode, I thought the question should be, what is a scene from a movie or television show that has made you cry?
I'm gonna go with a book, although the movie version does the same thing. But spoiler alert: if you have not read the seventh Harry Potter book, so go ahead and cover your ears if you haven't, or seen the seventh Harry Potter movie. But when Dobby dies, nobody else's death in that whole series made me cry as much as Dobby's death.
Yeah, that was a sad one. I would also go along with Hedwig was a pretty big one too.
Yeah, Hedwig was a big one.
If you haven't seen or read Harry Potter, sorry, the last book is over 10 years old, so
Yeah,
that's on you.
we're past the statute of limitations on that.
Yeah, but a movie that really made me cry, and the reason I list this is it's not one that I expected to make me cry because it is an Adam Sandler movie, and you know how Adam Sandler was from the late 90s to the mid 2000s. It was like just stupid comedies. So I remember going in high school with my friends to see Click, and there's that very sad scene where he's dying and he runs out like I think it's his son doesn't want anything to do with him, and he's like, it's like raining, and he's like, no, and he's like falling down.
Right.
That made me cry.
Oh, dude, I've got another good one. You've seen Coco, haven't you?
Yes.
The scene near the very end where he plays the "Remember Me" song for his grandmother, or is it great grandmother? I can't remember. And she like remembers and she sings the song. That one, every single time I watch that movie, I'm gonna be over there wiping some tears away.
Yes, that is a good scene as well. So don't forget, if you want to, we usually tweet this out the Tuesday after the episode releases, and you can give your answers. So don't forget, you can follow us on Twitter at Pokemon Snapshot, or you can send us an email at thepokemonsnapshot@gmail.com. We also have a Facebook page, so look us up there as well. Also, leave us a rating on your listening app if you're choosing, so other Pokemon fans such as yourself can help find the podcast. All right, Josh, I think we're to the end, so please join us next week when we will be watching the Battling Eevee Brothers.